What's up guys, welcome back to another 3000 GT VR4 video. So I've been asked this question around 3 or 4 times so far within the last couple months after building my 3000 GT VR4 in the span of like 2.5 years. So I wanted to make this quick video to kind of give you guys kind of like a build breakdown, just to kind of give you some insight as far as like how much you should expect to spend on a 3000 GT or Dodge Stealth to kind of get it to how it is like this. Now everyone's going to be different, everyone's going to pay different prices. Don't take my number as the one and only number. You should definitely make your own math and look up your own parts and try to find the best deals possible to make it as cheap as possible. So the way we're going to do it is we're going to go based off 5 categories. We're going to go off exterior, interior, engine bay, suspension, and brakes. Like a little bit of the story of the car, right? So I got this car, I want to say February of like 2020. Pretty much got it in the beginning of the whole pandemic. So the way I got it was completely random. I was not expecting it. I've always wanted a 3000 GT coming from Mitsubishi Eclipses, but for me, I already knew they were hard to work on. They were hard to get. Some parts were pretty hard to find, and the way I came across it was completely random, and it was too much of a good deal to let it go. So fortunately, I was able to get a super good deal on this 1998 Mitsubishi 3000 GT VR4, which is actually considered the rarest year because only 231 were made. I think this is number 55. So it was originally black. The paint was completely trashed. I'm not sure if some of you guys remember it, but it wasn't running. And of course, some of you guys know, not many mechanics are willing to touch this thing or work on it because they know the amount of work and hassle these cars can give you just due to tight space and just complex old school technology from the 90s that, you know, these cars love to break every often. So these aren't super reliable cars. I'll tell you guys that. They could be if the owners beforehand took good care of them, did the scheduled maintenance, and I think that's probably the only way to keep one of these going for a very long time, which I have seen within the community. So for the most part, I'm pretty sure it's just like Eclipses. At one point, these were pretty cheap and accessible, so anyone could pretty much get them. Of course, the people that don't want to pay for the repairs for one of these, which is quite expensive, that's probably one of the biggest cons for this car, don't want to undertake the maintenance or any sort of repairs, which leads to them not running, being on jack stands. You guys know the whole story. So I got this car 2020. I was actually just gonna get it running and sell it to pretty much try to make some money off of it, and the car kind of grew on me. I ended up just restoring it to my best of my capabilities thus far. I don't think the car's going to stay like this forever. I do plan on upgrading more things as time goes by, but honestly, where it sits right now, I just absolutely love it as is. Like, just power wise, aesthetics wise, just everything. The car's not perfect, but I'll go ahead and post a picture of how it used to look at one point, and you guys could kind of see the difference as far as like how far the car has progressed. So yeah, it wasn't running, got it running, and I just decided to pretty much undertake a restoration build for a 3000 GT, which I think a lot of people won't do because, of course, you have to be somewhat mechanically inclined to be able to touch these, or at least have enough funds to cover the expenses when it comes to labors at shops, because they are not cheap whatsoever. Shops know how much of a hassle this could be and how tight the engine bay space is, which I think is one of the biggest reasons as to why it didn't receive as much popularity. You know, being a super cool sports car, grand touring car, it looks amazing, right? Like, this thing gets a lot of attention, but at the same time, like, I don't really look forward to working under that hood just because I know how tedious it could be. But of course, everyone's different. Some people are just naturally skilled at being under the engine bay and just, you know, hashing things out. Me personally, I'm somewhat in the middle. I like doing it, but at the same time, I'd rather not if I don't have to. But anyways, this video is pretty much going to be about the build breakdown. I want to start off with exterior because it's probably, well, for one, it's the most expensive. It's where I spent the most, and it's where I've seen most of the changes. So this thing was completely black, all stock, nothing was done to it. I'm gonna go ahead and start going over everything I've changed, and I'm gonna go ahead and put a price on each of the parts as far as what I paid or what they're worth, and we'll go ahead and add them towards the end, and I'll give you a final number as far as like the full price pretty much all the money I've spent on this car in the last 2.5 years. So let's go ahead and start off with aesthetics. Start off with the front of the car. We have the OEM at 99 front bumper that I actually traded for my OEM 3000 GT VR4 wheels that I had on at the time. These could range anywhere from like $500 to $1,200 depending on condition, price, of course, availability. These are discontinued, they don't make them anymore, so at one point they're gonna get harder to find and more expensive. Besides that, we have the 99 spec OEM headlights and turn signals. There's two separate pieces, and these are absolutely expensive. These aren't even in the best shape, and I think these were like $600 or $700, and that was because they just need some sort of re-clear, and the corners on the corners are broken. So I guess it's a common issue within the community, yeah. So I mean, I pretty much paid that much. These will range anywhere from, again, like $600 just for the headlights to like $2,000 for the full set. So again, getting harder to find, discontinued. People love this look. 99 parts are 1 year only, and it just makes them, you know, that much rarer and harder to find. And besides that, I do have the front carbon fiber lip. I have the side extensions in carbon fiber. They're a little bit dirty. I haven't washed the car. But I also have the carbon fiber respect. So I have the full carbon fiber lip kits. This will range you, well, depending on what pieces you get, but for the full set you're gonna pay around $1,000. Moving towards the side, we have the Enkei NT03 wheels. These I had on my Evo already, so technically I didn't pay for them, but realistically they're worth around $1,800 for the full set, and I have them on some Federal RSR tires, which were around $800. These were 275/35 R18. So pretty meaty setup, square setup all around. I love how it looks. Honestly, the fitment is pretty good in my opinion. The only thing I'm considering is going wide body to fit the wing a little bit better, but I don't know. Part of me wants to just leave it clean and simple, you know. And going towards the back, we have the OEM JDM taillights. As you guys can see, the ambers, the corners are ambers versus the full red. So these I actually traded for my OEM set, the USDM all red ones, plus cash on top for these, which I think was like $200. So to me, it was a good deal. These range anywhere from like $300 to $500. I'm not too sure how the market is right now, but again, everything is discontinued. Going towards the next part, we have the discontinued 99 regarnish. A lot of people don't like how it looks, and these garnishes do go for like $400 to $500 as of 2023. So a lot of people don't like them. I personally love how they look, just because it goes with the look I'm trying to go for, with like the bottom being black. Just like the black accents throughout the back is kind of like my style when it comes to modifying my cars. If you guys have seen my Eclipse, you guys will notice that it's a very similar rear end. It's pretty much the same look, just a different type of car. So, and of course we have the newest addition to the model list. We have the 99 LAG Designs or Carbonetics combat wing, which is a little bit different. This will run you around $2,000. It's a hefty price, but it's a big wing. It's a lot of material. Super sick. This thing just makes the car look like an absolute jet. I'm sure you guys can see this thing, but just driving this thing with this big wing is just crazy. It just makes the car look very exotic. I don't know, to me the 99 look is the look that I feel like can compete with the rest of the JDM legends. Like if you put this next to a GTR or a Supra, it'll look like it could keep up its own weight, right? And I mean, back in the day, you guys already know these cars were actually keeping up with this competition. It's just over time we saw the decline in popularity for these, which is pretty sad, but also kind of cool because they're still accessible to a lot of people, the people that know about these and are willing to put in the work to get them going, you know, get the pleasure of keeping one like this. So I'm very grateful to have this car. I'm grateful I took on the challenge to build it. Anyways, we do have the Avery Dennison Carmine Red wrap. So this is not painted. This is a full-on wrap job right under. Like I said, it's the OEM black paint. It's not in the best condition. If I was ever to paint the car, I might go back to the OEM color just to keep the car, you know, like OEM. But I don't know, like red on these cars is like the color, and I know a lot of people don't like it because of that, because it's kind of boring, but you don't see these to begin with, and seeing a red one, I don't know, to me it's just perfect. Anyways, I ended up paying $800 for that wrap, and of course the labor is going to depend to the wrap shop. Expect to pay anywhere from $1,500 to $2,500 plus the wrap on top of that to do a full wrap job, especially on one of these cars, considering how big it is. This is not your average car. As you guys know, it's pretty long, so it does take a little bit more time to be able to wrap something like this. You could wrap it yourself to save yourself the time and labor and just price, but wrapping a car is not easy. I've tried it once with my RSX, and it was a bit of a pain, but if you want it done right, just take it to a proper wrap shop. I got this done at VV Wraps, and of course, like I said, it should be around 1,500 to 2,500 to wrap your car on top of that. So up and close, I do have the replacement rubber trims on the doors, the rear hatch, and I ended up painting the bottom one. I didn't really care to replace it, but I think it was like 200 bucks shipped for the trims, just to kind of, I don't know, it brings it back, dude. Like honestly, like a lot of the VR4s or 3000 GTs I see, these are pretty much skinned off, and it just makes the car look old and dusty. I don't know, those trims make a huge difference. Of course, I have the rear wiper deletes, which I should be getting more in stock in case you guys want these. This is to delete your rear wiper or to delete your antennas. So I kept my antenna, I deleted the rear wiper just to give the whole hatch just a cleaner look. These were pretty much like 15 bucks. And of course, for the final touches, I have the OEM twin turbo stickers. I have the MMC Mitsubishi Motors Corporation sticker right here, and the VR4 sticker right here, which amount to around 50 bucks or so, something pretty small, but that kind of accounts for the aesthetics of the car. And if I'm not mistaken, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, the total exterior cost for this car was $11,265, and of course this will vary depending on how good of the deals you guys get for your parts, how much you're willing to pay for each item considering they're discontinued, and just of course being able to find them, or maybe you just have a different style than I do. Of course, I love the 99 look. My opinion is the most aesthetic, but maybe you want a 1G and 1G parts are easier to find, then it's always going to vary. It's actually quite a bit of money to get it up to spec, but again, the car wasn't in the best conditions when I originally got it. It needed a lot of love, a lot of work, and parts for these cars are not cheap. I think they're a little more expensive than DSM and Evo parts, if I recall. Was it worth it? I think so. I think this car looks absolutely stunning. This is the car that gets the most attention out of all the Mitsubishis, and you know, this is a badass car to have, man. Like I just love this thing. Now for suspension and brakes, this thing is on the Reaction USA coilovers. These will cost you around 1,400 bucks for this car. As far as the brake setup, we have the upgraded drilled and slotted rotors down here around all four corners, and I kept it simple and spray painted the calipers red and pretty much sanded down the letters. So it was a cheap way to kind of get that Brembo look. Do I plan on upgrading to Brembos eventually? I think so. It's just right now it's not the best moment. Honestly, these VR4 brakes are really good in my opinion. I haven't really truly tested them to their max potential, but for street or daily driving or going to your cars and coffee, you should be okay. They're bigger than your average brake calipers on a car. So, and overall the braking setup should cost you around 400 bucks. Now if we walk towards the interior, there's not really much done to the car, to be honest. It does have, hold up, this car did come with the OEM tan interior, which I'm not a fan of at all. I got super lucky again, and the same guy that traded me the OEM JDM taillights at one point actually traded me his true black, which is I think the rarest interior, if I'm not mistaken. You guys let me know. True black, black interior pretty much throughout the car. So I think he had gotten a base to sell and it had this interior, and I pretty much gave him the tan one on top. But if you do want to get yourself some black leather interior, expect to pay anywhere from like $1,000 to $2,000 to get every single piece. Of course, like as you guys can see, it's not perfect. It has its imperfections and its age, but at least the car doesn't have the tan interior that I didn't like, and the dash is also all black. So I don't know, I just feel like with the red and black, it just gives it that very sporty car looks. And besides the black leather interior, I do have the two AEM gauges, which should run you around 300 bucks for the boost and AFR gauge, and I have the Toto double din radio, which should be around 100 bucks. So that's pretty much it for the interior. Nothing crazy. Again, I don't need to do much. People have asked me if I want to do like a steering wheel swap and stuff like that. Honestly, no, I kind of want to leave it stock, just because I feel like these cars, well, for one, they hold their value a lot more when you kind of leave them untouched, but there's certain things that as you grow up as a car enthusiast, you just kind of don't do. So the only steering wheel I would consider putting on this car would be an OEM replacement, like an Evo steering wheel or like something Mitsubishi, right, just to kind of keep it clean and OEM plus. Let's go into the engine bay for the final category. This is where it's going to vary for a lot of you guys, considering what condition you guys pick yours up in. If you do the work yourself, if you have a shop do it. I'm gonna go ahead and go over everything that I've done, at least from what I can remember over the last 2.5 years. So it does have the 60K engine bay service, which is the timing belt, water pump, pulleys, etc. including with labor, you should expect to pay around $2,500 with the parts. I did go with an OEM kit, so of course that will, you know, make a big influence on your price. I wouldn't recommend for you to do the 60K service with like the cheap AutoZone or O'Reilly's replacements or the things you see on Amazon. I would try to stick to OEM because it's one of those jobs that you kind of do 1 or 2 times in the car's lifetime, and you want to make sure you have the best parts too. It's just basically extra insurance just to make sure the car runs good. After the 60K service, the car has, at least I feel like it's a much more reliable car now, considering that I don't have to worry that something's going to happen, if the tensioner is going to give out at some point. And it's just, I just know that it's been done, and don't believe if the previous owner told you that it's been done, because you know, you could just make sure you do your correct inspection. You look at the water pump, make sure it looks new, look at the belt, and just be very careful. It's a very expensive job if you take it to someone, and I highly advise you to do it if you aren't that good with timing. But yeah, as you guys can see, it's a very tight space, and like I said, with parts and labor, expect to pay around $2,500 for the 60K service. I also recently put in the extended 4-bolt oil pan on this car, because once you dent your oil pan on these cars, the oil starvation issues arise, and that's how you blow your engine. So it's just, like I said, great insurance. I feel like when you touch these cars in the engine bay, you want to do preventative maintenance to make sure that the car just has better longevity as far as it running. So excuse my language, I feel like I say the randomest words sometimes, and I just want to keep it basic, but I just go off. So anyways, the extended oil pan should be around $400, and if you, of course, if you pay someone to do it for labor, should be around $800. Besides that, we do have the OEM axles that were refurbished for $300 when we did the extended oil pan. The most recent issue it had as far as it running was the camshaft position sensor and the crankshaft position sensor, which both gave out at the same time. Those were each $120 plus the labor of $250. I have the Alpha Injection 750cc injectors, which ran me $550. Again, one of my injectors ended up giving up, and as old as these cars are, it's bound to happen, so I just went ahead and upgraded to some better ones. So we do have the upgraded fuel pump in the back of the tank for $120. I do have the AN lines done for pretty much the full fuel system, from the front of the fuel rail all the way to the back of the gas tank, with an added Alpha Injection fuel filter, which was $150, and the AN lines were like another $150 as well, so $300 for the fuel system upgrade. I have the OEM oils and fluids, such as, you know, transfer case, diff, engine oil, etc. over time, $250. I have the hot wire for the fuel pump running me $50. Now, as far as the exhaust system, some of you guys are always asking me, how does it sound like that? I have a full 3-inch downpipe, which ran me $400. I have the cutout, which ran me $600, and that was because it was the cutout plus the labor of getting it welded. I think I got ripped off, but I paid a little bit too much for that cutout. The cutout is basically an opening in the middle of the car, so the exhaust gases aren't getting released from the back of the tailpipes. It's just a more direct opening, I guess. It's kind of like a bumper exit or a hood exit, but it kind of comes out towards the middle of the car. So I love putting a cutout on my cars just because of the increased performance, and it gives you that very nice turbo spool sound that some of you guys love. Besides that, I do have the catback. It was free. It was just a custom made one that my buddy CK gave to me at one point. So yeah, it's pretty much like a $1,000 exhaust, but I did save a lot on the back half. Now, going inside the car, I have the Turbo Smart boost controller running me $100, the fuel pressure regulator running me $180, and I have the MSD wires that I actually got for free, again, from a fellow 3S owner. Shout out to you. But these will run you around $150 or so. They're just nice to have over stock in case, like I said, like your old OEM ones just give out over time. I have the blow-off valve, which came with the car. I forgot the brand, but a couple $100. I'm not even gonna add it on there because I didn't pay for it. But besides that, I do have the full front mount intercooler, dual core front mount. As you guys can see, for one, it makes the car look super aggressive from the front, but it's just a nice upgrade over the OEM side mount. So that was a good $900. And of course, I'm just gonna add an extra $1,000 for just random things and expenses that I kind of am not calculating just because I probably forgot. But overall, if my math isn't incorrect, again, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, this is just a ballpark number, the total expense for this car should be around $23,500, which I think is insane, because if I look back 2.5 years ago, I wouldn't have known that I would have spent this much money on this car. I was supposed to fix it and sell it, and it ended up becoming a money pit. I'm sure a lot of my 3S guys can relate. I'm pretty sure a lot of 3S guys on here that have been in the game for longer, I spent 2 or 3 times the amount just to get theirs to that point. So again, it's gonna vary per owner. You guys let me know how much you have spent on your 3000 GT or Dodge Stealth. I'm pretty sure my numbers are kind of rookie numbers to compare to some of you guys, especially the guys that end up going in the engine bay and just like redoing everything. I feel like that's my weak point. Do I want to eventually upgrade turbos and go full out on this? Yes and no. I want to. I would love to have like a 600 horsepower like E85 VR4 with like a wide body. Like, part of me wants that, but then part of me just wants to keep it like this, just clean, OEM, simple, stock-ish. Just to drive around comfortably. I don't know, I'm literally stuck in between those two paths, right? But yeah, you guys let me know how much you guys spent. I don't think I've spent that much. I think it's like the average number for like the average car enthusiast. But again, these cars are not cheap. These cars are not for everybody. These cars are not easy to work on. I do plan on making a video as far as like my review of the car. For the past 2.5 years, the pros, the cons, the things I love, the things I hate, and just overall more content now that I have the car back. As some of you guys know, I just got the car back right now. I do need to go ahead and reflash the stock 98 ECU for just to make it run a little bit richer, because it's running a little bit lean. And then from there, we could go ahead and do a POV video with this thing, because this thing looks gnarly. I kind of want to take it up a canyon, or I don't know, I'll figure it out. But again, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This is not to flex or whatever, it's not about that. It's just giving you guys a ballpark number as far as how much you should expect to pay for a 3000 GT VR4 that you might get that's very similar to mine. Anyways, I'll go ahead and leave you guys here. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on next week's video.